Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. It's the beginning of a new week, Monday, October 27th, 2025. Today is day 752. Greetings from Rome, Italy. I'm here for meetings around Nostra Aetate, which I'll talk about a bit later. In Gaza over the weekend, Saturday night and Sunday, the Israeli Defense Forces struck Islamic Jihad militants who planned an attack against Israeli soldiers, so say the Israeli military. So this strike was carried out in Nusrat in the central Gaza Strip. It was targeting and killing a specific, quote, terrorist from Islamic Jihad. Again, that's the words of the Israeli Defense IDF, who said that they were planning an attack on Israeli soldiers. IDF troops were deployed to the area in accordance with the ceasefire framework and will continue to act to remove any immediate threats. Other updates from Gaza, many of these come from Haaretz. The Israeli Defense Forces killed 2 Palestinians and wounded 3. In a strike on a group of Palestinian civilians who were seeking to return to their homes in Han Yunis in Gaza. That's according to the civil defense group in Gaza. The health ministry in Gaza said that 8 Palestinians were pronounced dead and 13 hospitalized over the last 48 hours. The Israeli government approved Red Cross teams to operate beyond the IDF's yellow line in Gaza in order to locate the bodies of hostages that remain. As of yesterday's count, there were 13 bodies that have yet to be located of Israeli hostages. The Israeli army has been dumping construction waste and rubble inside of Gaza. This includes debris from IDF bases and infrastructure projects near the border. In terms of the ceasefire, and you can hear how tenuous it is with there continuing to be deaths of civilians in Gaza, continuing to be some attacks on Israeli soldiers as well. On Sunday, it was announced by a Hamas official that the group will enter into new areas of Gaza as they're seeking for these last 13 bodies. The head of Hamas's negotiating team, Khalil al-Hayya, said that forces from the organization will enter new areas in the Gaza Strip in order to locate the additional bodies of hostages that have yet to be found. Israel is also struggling to advance the return of hostage bodies. This is amid the United States restraints on action against Hamas. So Rotem Cooper, who's the son of a slain hostage, Amiram Cooper, revealed this weekend that some of what Israel has known about Hamas's efforts to return the body of the 13 final hostages. Hamas started to talk about Amiram Cooper over a week ago. We understood that they were digging in the right place, his son said in an interview on Israeli television. He then said, why is it taking such a long time? It's probably a combination of games and actual difficulties. Hamas has to play for time. There are assessments that Hamas is in violation of the agreement since it could have returned my father a long time ago. Updates in terms of the International Stabilization Force. Netanyahu said that Israel is an independent state and we, being Israel, will determine which forces are acceptable to us. There's been a lot of conversation about this. Some have said that the reason Israel opposes Turkey is because Turkey is a part of NATO, but some of the European countries that are also interested in sending soldiers as a part of this International Stabilization Force are also a part of NATO. But it's unlikely that Turkey will be approved by Israel to participate in the International Stabilization Force. The state prosecutor's office filed an indictment against 3 Turkish citizens for weapons smuggling. This is just an example where it's believed Turkey is too close to certain Arab states, but specifically too close to Hamas. So the state's attorney's office, this is in Israel, filed an indictment in the Nazareth District Court against 3 Turkish citizens for weapon offenses and infiltration into Israel. This indictment says that these 3 individuals plan to take part in a gun smuggling network that operated with the help of Turkish officials through an Iranian arms dealer. According to the plan, the guns were supposed to reach Israel via Jordan, but the Jordanian border. But after a dispute arose between the parties, the deal was canceled. According to the Attorney General's office, 2 of the defendants, along with others, were captured in a kibbutz near the border with Jordan after they crossed into Israel. Now, King Abdullah of Jordan, King Abdullah II, told BBC that Arab countries would join the U.S. proposed international force in Gaza, but only if the mission is peacekeeping and not law enforcement. Israel's government has told the High Court of Justice it will re-examine policies barring foreign journalists from entering the Gaza Strip. This would be quite significant. Over the last 2 years, international journalists have not been allowed into Gaza. This is in response to petitions filed seeking entry for Israeli and foreign journalists to be able to go into the Gaza Strip in light of the new state of affairs created by the October Agreement. Dozens in Israel attended the funeral procession of the slain hostage Yossi Sharabi in central Israel's Rishon LeZion, and the released hostage Bar Kuperstein said that his captors used National Security Minister in Israel Itamar Ben-Gvir's remarks and treatment of Palestinian prisoners as justification for beating and torturing of the hostages. There's been a lot happening with Lebanon over the weekend. The IDF said yesterday it eliminated Hezbollah commander in South Lebanon, Mohammed Akram Arabiya. The IDF said that he was eliminated. He was a commander in the Hezbollah's Redwan Special Force. This happened in South Lebanon. The IDF said that Arabiya had advanced the reestablishment of Hezbollah's combat capabilities and took part in attempts to reestablish Hezbollah's terror infrastructure, says the IDF, and that this constituted a violation of understandings between Israel and Lebanon. According to Lebanon, Israel has been in constant violation of the ceasefire agreement from last November because there are still Israeli military in South Lebanon. Now, Hezbollah has claimed its right to retain arms after the Lebanese government approved plans to disarm the Shia group last month. And this is very significant. The UN group UNIFIL shot down an Israeli military drone on Sunday in South Lebanon in what the IDF said was a routine mission. Egypt's ambassador to Lebanon met with the Lebanese president Joseph Aoun, a head of Egyptian intelligence chief who will be visiting Lebanon this coming week on Tuesday. In terms of the international community, there's a lot of conversation about whether or not Eurovision should ban Israel. The Austrians say that that would be a fatal mistake. So says their chancellor, Christian Stocker. He spoke out clearly in favor of Israel's participation in the Eurovision Song Contest in Vienna. This is in May 2026. He says, I would consider it a fatal mistake to exclude Israel based on our history alone. I would never be in favor of that. He was referring to Austria's shared responsibility for crimes during the Holocaust. The ceasefire in the Gaza Strip has changed the situation, he says. Stocker conceded that the debate surrounding Israel's participation has cast a shadow over the event. In the U.S., President Trump says there's very strong peace in the Middle East and it could be everlasting. He's urged Hamas to return the hostages' bodies. This was on Truth Social on Saturday night, commenting on developments in the Middle East. He emphasized very strong peace with the potential to be everlasting. Finally, I wanted to close with a Christian update. I'm here in Rome for the 60th anniversary of Nostra Aetate, which means for the time, a document that was written shortly after the Six-Day War in 1967, in large part to address the need for interfaith dialogue and engagement, specifically, but not only, between Jews, Christians, and Muslims. There are commemorations of Nostra Aetate happening around the world. For example, representatives from 6 different religions came together at St. Chad's Cathedral in Birmingham in the UK yesterday for a national celebration of the 60th anniversary of Nostra Aetate. The document was 1965 of the Second Vatican Council on the relation of church to non-Christian religions. The occasion included sung vespers with reflections from Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, and Christian representatives, a panel discussion on dying to live, the challenges faced by Birmingham faith communities in end-of-life care settings. Archbishop Bernard Longley, host bishop and chair of the Bishops' Conference Department for Dialogue and Unity, described a vision of Nostra Aetate as a way of recognizing rays of truth and goodness that are reflected in one another's religions so as to initiate and promote a deeper dialogue between us all. He said this is important more now than ever. The church said the celebration was an opportunity to express gratitude for the warmth of interreligious dialogue built over 60 years and to renew its commitment to fruitful dialogue in the future. You can read more about that online. I would encourage you, one of the things that we've been talking about is how dialogue shouldn't just be dialogue. Dialogue also has to be engagement. And that there have been Christian and Jewish, specifically, dialogues that have existed for decades without honest conversations about what's been happening in Israel and Palestine, and now over the last 2 years, especially in Gaza. And so We are following the cry of the Palestinian church that has said we have to reshape what dialogue with different religious groups looks like. How do we have integrity while calling for justice and actively pursuing peace? May God go before us in those ends. In the name of Christ, amen.